Okay, what are the 5 liberties listed in the First Amendment, also known as the Bill of Rights, in the Constitution? That's a Second Amendment, but very good, you're on a roll. Without that, the first 5. Huh?
Justice, freedom.
Freedom of, what do you do on Sunday?
Freedom of religion.
There you go. So that was a cheat, but okay.
You gotta help us along.
Pursuit of happiness, but
That's at the end of the Declaration of Independence.
Yeah.
So, okay.
I'm old, man.
Yeah, I do remember
All right.
the beginning.
Yeah.
I had to go straight to the end. I can't even come up with one, so hey.
Here's Tina. She's gonna get it.
No, I don't want.
go through the whole Constitution.
No, don't go through the whole Constitution. Just the Bill of Rights begins with freedom of religion, freedom to. Well, that's the second one, but the first one lists 5: freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of
Written word?
which we call the press.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Know that.
And what are we doing here today? We are peaceably.
Demonstrating.
No, we're gathering.
Oh,
This is not a protest.
That's true. I don't know.
Boy, we are getting educated here. You did need to stop here.
You picked the wrong group of girls.
No, I picked the right group.
Educated, exactly.
And the 5th one has been in the news a lot lately, and all over Facebook a lot lately, if you're on there. It has to do with Harney County. What happened in Harney County to a couple of ranchers who were hit with double jeopardy, and another group of ranchers came to help them protect their rights through a redress of grievances, to petition the local government for redress of grievances.
Yeah, I read
That's
that
the
on
5th one?
Facebook this morning. I had a dream telling
So what happens if you don't know how do you know your rights aren't gone already if you don't know what they are?
I mean,
That's true.
Yeah.
When we've learned them over and over, and
it was all
and it is important. Gosh knows.
It
I
is,
know
and
it.
why
I
is it
forget
important?
until
If they're taken
For our
away,
freedom.
if they're taken away, who's going to have to refresh the Tree of Liberty with their blood?
Okay, go through the 5 one more time.
Our children. Do you want to pass that on to them, or do you want to take it on yourself? Would you prefer that we took it on?
This is as close as I ever want to see somebody walking toward me with a rifle. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right. Yes.
And you think of those people that have to deal with that every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's as close as I want to
They
go.
couldn't answer it either, and some of them became offended when I said that the group that assembled on the Malheur Refuge were not armed. They were painted as militia, though they were not. They came to help others, but the 3% militia of Oregon and Idaho, the 3%ers, they did come armed to be as a buffer between the two entities. And it was labeled as if they were the ones armed. That was a lie. Ammon Bundy and his group did not pack around guns on their bodies, pointing at anybody or in defense of themselves because they weren't feeling that they needed to. They had them there because if it escalated to that point, they had the right to protect themselves, right? But that doesn't make them militia or...
You know the bottom line is for me, and I'm sorry,
It's all right.
they still came and showed their power, did what they needed to do to end what they didn't like. I mean, we know it's all wrong. Everything about it is wrong. But the bottom
So
line
when you
is
say
were
they, you're
able to
talking
do it.
about
the government.
the government. Mm-hmm.
You know, they took their force. They didn't like it. They're
Okay.
not going to let
So
it
what
happen.
do we as a people
I don't-
need to do to prevent that from happening here in Cook County? If that was happening here in Cook County, what would we do?
We'd have to stand together and be the militia.
That's right. And that is our right, is it not?
It is our right, and it's what we're supposed to do, but I still feel like the power can't be there because of the strength above. And it's sad.
It is
And
sad.
it comes in and it ends up being kind of a massacre
People have
for
fought for them rights for many, many
Well,
years,
then
many
thank
wars.
God people
And it's
keep
taken us
fighting.
a lot of wars to get to where we are today.
Yes. And
to
we
get our
take it
land
all for
back.
granted.
The
We don't
forest
even
the
talk about it.
BLM, they're taking over all the land. Do you know how much land they have.
Over
It's just state of
50%?
Well,
Over
we all agree
50%
that
that we
government
can't
doesn't
even have
work
a thing.
correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can't
What's
even
wrong
get
with
on.
that
They keep
picture?
Closing everything down, closing everything down.
They are
As for
taking,
your land, I kind of know because I'm involved in that. They'll come, they want a 5-mile buffer between like Peony Hills Park. That means they'll take like 500 acres from the people, but for nothing. They
Hey.
don't get nothing for that.
do they have the right to even do that?
They don't, but they're going to.
And why do they not?
Do that.
Tell me why.
Because of our Bill of Rights.
Right. But the federal government
Shit.
was created by the states. That makes them smaller in power. The states are the contract, are the people who put the contract and the compact together. We created the federal government. They did not create us.
That's right.
So our power is superior.
Okay. That's
Okay.
a good look at it.
The
we almost gave them to. We've
and the
given
fact
them
that we
too
keep
much
giving it away is because of our inept Congress, who has allowed them out of their limited and defined box, which is 10 miles square in Washington, D.C. It is not 50% of each state and more.
And more. It's more
Yes.
than 50%. I think
There
thought
is
it was
no
in the
authority for the
70%.
BLM. They are an
That's not even-
executive creation that has no authority to even be
Not even out of our country.
here. Right.
They aren't even from our country.
The BLM isn't?
No, they are domiciled in Puerto Rico? I've forgotten.
In Puerto Rico, but it's really, wasn't it in France that their headquarters really is, I think,
Right.
in France.
And if you look them up on Dun and Bradstreet, you'll see that they are a private corporation.
Right.
They are no more federal
Public.
than FedEx. Neither is the Federal Reserve, which has no reserve and is not a bank.
Okay, now that's scary.
It is. It's
No
very scary.
kidding. See,
Anyway.
look at when you're not educated. What
So
you don't know.
I'm going to shut this thing off, and thank you so much for playing with me.
Thank you.